Hello, hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to another installment of Cryptic Corner, where we explore the unexplained, the supernatural, the paranormal and hidden, the mysterious, the alien, the accursed, and the forbidden. I'm your host, Miss Bumblebee, and welcome once again to our Saturday morning show that we do live with my live from the Hive audience. You can see them right there popping up in the chat there, and you can be part of that Saturday morning audience too. You just join us at 7:30 Pacific, at 8:30 Mountain, at 9:30 Central, at 10:30 Eastern, and you can be here live participating in the greatest Saturday morning show on YouTube, the greatest, which is live from the Hive. We have special guests sometimes, like Dragons and Genesis was one of our special guests. Look, Jason just popped in. Hello, hello, and good morning. You can join us live every Saturday morning, or if you want to catch the premiere, it's on Friday nights. The time slot kind of bounces around a little bit. I'm still trying to find a good place for it to fit in, but it'll be on Friday nights, and I may or may not be there when it premieres because sometimes on Friday nights I have dates and events with friends and stuff I go to, but I like to keep things consistent so everybody has at least one place to hang out. I was doing it at midnight, but it was not getting a great turnout, so I've kind of reeled it back. Anyway, the topic for today, of course, is the blackbird of Chernobyl. And no, this blackbird was not created by nuclear fallout because this guy showed up before the meltdown. The blackbird of Chernobyl is more like a harbinger. It's more like Mothman in that way. But I figured I would let a new channel give us the rundown on it, and we can poke it apart from there. This is Scare Mail, smallish channel. I mean, way bigger than me, but like 8 times, almost 9 times bigger than me, but still a small channel without very many videos. At least not very many videos that are still up. I have hundreds of videos. I don't ever take anything down. All right, so yeah, they got alien videos. We got murder mysteries. What the heck are those frogmen? Black-eyed children, of course. But we are going to focus on a video from a year ago about the blackbird of Chernobyl. And yes, this person does use AI, but at least they're using it in a more they cinematic way. But well, you'll see. You'll see what I mean. All right. All right. Hold on. He just started talking as soon as I clicked over it like a jerk. Come on. Ukrainian Mothman, exactly. That's what we get. That's what we're coming down to. Ukrainian Mothman. All right, here we go.
Dear Scare Mail, in the shadow of the Chernobyl nuclear facility and in the nearby town of Pripyat, an inexplicable phenomenon occurred just weeks before the infamous disaster. Witnesses reported sightings of a towering, human-like raven, a creature that defied explanation and instilled deep-seated dread. Those who encountered this monstrous black bird were plagued by nightmares, an ominous foreshadowing of the impending catastrophe. Little did they know, these sightings would serve as a chilling harbinger for a disaster that would claim thousands of lives and permanently scar the land. Join me as we delve into 5 crucial witness accounts.
Each 5 crucial witness accounts, and no mention of the word eagle at all. So it could have been a stellar sea eagle or something, but or a golden eagle.
A piece of the puzzle and the terrifying mystery that preceded one of history's worst nuclear accidents. Prepare yourself for the haunting tale of the Black Bird of Chernobyl. But first, what's up guys? My name's Andrew and I run the Scare Mail channel. Pardon my brief absence, I was away for medical leave, but I am back and ready to entertain better than ever. If you like ghosts, aliens, cryptids, and
I
other
do, but I
supernatural
don't know
scary
your
stories,
lore
then
enough
feel
to
free
be interested in
for that.
this. All right. The names. Hold on. What'd that say? The names of those involved were never released to the public. Therefore, their names have been changed. Of course. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. On April 15th, 1986, I was 3 years old. 3 years old. I was alive for this, though.
A mist covered the farmlands of Pripyat as Ivan Petrov, a local farmer, sat down for breakfast on what should have been an ordinary spring morning around 5 a.m. While he and his wife were eating, something alarming came to Ivan's attention. A stir could be heard coming from the barn nearby, as if something had wandered in and startled all the livestock, fearing for
I heard a goat scream. Did you guys hear a goat scream? I did.
the worst. Ivan readied his rifle and ran out to the fields, hoping to fend off whatever predator was threatening his cattle. Only, Ivan had no idea what kind of creature he'd encounter. Once he arrived outside, Ivan noticed a dense fog covering the fields, which made it difficult to see what was going on at the barn. So, without even thinking,
Don't go in the barn. That could have been the name for Friday the 13th, Part 3. No, the names have been changed to protect the guilty. Are we sure about that? Uh-huh.
Ivan took off running straight for the barn. The closer he got, the more unsettled he became. Ivan started sweating all of a sudden and was overcome with anxiety despite feeling in control of the situation. Even more strange was that all the
Yeah, with that big old clip, you look like you're in control of the situation. What are you planning on running out and running into out there, Ivan? I would have expected Ivan as a regular farmer to just have like a hunting rifle uh in Ukraine, but I guess with everything going on in Ukraine right now, I'd understand carrying a big old is that a clip or a magazine? I don't know the difference. I'm not a gun person, gun woman, whatever. I am like pro gun rights, but I don't think I need a gun. Uh Ivan is in the Epstein files, yeah.
commotion coming from his stock had immediately ceased. Now only able to hear the sound of his breathing, Ivan approached the misty barn until he saw what was causing all the commotion.
Misty Barnes could be my stripper name. Hi, I'm Misty Barnes. Or my phone sex name, maybe? Misty Barnes.
And it caused him to stop dead in his tracks. Perched atop the barn was something otherworldly. A giant black bird resembling a raven, with glowing red eyes staring right at him. Ivan was petrified. He couldn't even raise his gun in defense, for he was all of a sudden overcome by an intense sense of nausea. The gigantic bird looked deep into Ivan's eyes, as if staring into his very soul.
I'm pretty sure that this was Tsunami shapeshifted into her primal form, like when she does her animal mortality. Like you remember how in um, Mortal Kombat there was a move that you could do to turn your player into an animal instead of being uh, doing a finishing move. Yeah, this could be Tsunami's, except for it probably wouldn't have red eyes. Good morning, Nancy dear. It's good to see you, love. Oh, hello, Brian Stevens. Everybody's popping in.
Before spreading its massive wings and flying away. Ivan took a second to gather himself. He figured he was hallucinating and must have come down with some sort of illness from eating breakfast. Maybe the eggs had gone bad, but there's no way to be sure.
Giant birds are often caused by bad eggs. So if you're a bad egg, you might cause someone to see a big giant bird. Trying to look and see what kind of birds are in there. The buzzard, which is different than what we call a buzzard. We call a buzzard here in the U.S., at least in the South, they call a turkey vulture a buzzard. But buzzards are pretty big too. Ravens are big. A lot of people don't understand how big ravens are. They think, oh, it's like a little bit bigger than a crow. No, ravens are like eagle-sized freaking crows. Ravens are absolutely massive.
Sure, he stepped into the barn to see some of his goats lying on the ground, lifeless. Whatever the creature was had scared them to death. Still, despite this,
I would say carrion birds, just hypothetically, carrion birds may be attracted to your barn if there's dead livestock laying on the ground. That's pure speculation, but
event, Ivan figured it was all coincidence, and that maybe he just needed some rest to sleep off the illness. However, the raven would not only return once, but twice to the very same spot, with his wife witnessing.
did it say nevermore? Because that seems to be like what a raven should say, in my opinion. The raven doesn't like you, they will teach their young to not like you too. Yeah, yeah, they are gossipy bitches. Had a close encounter with a black vulture recently. I got within a few feet of me while I was on a hike. Unfortunately, it was too skittish to get any closer. The Ravens are pretty big, especially the linebackers. Is that a football thing? Yeah, I assume that's a football thing. I don't know about the word carrion until recently. Yeah, ravens, corvids, and seabirds, and it's a lot of eagles, but vultures and condors are all considered carrion birds because that's what they eat. They only say caw. They don't say nevermore. I want my money back. This is the worst thing that's ever happened in Chernobyl.
Both events, the horrifying realization that what they were seeing was indeed real. Ivan feared for the worst for what would become of his family and livestock, and yet Ivan could not imagine the horror that would befall the town in the coming weeks.
I hope that Baltimore doesn't have a situation like the Chernobyl situation. That would be terrible.
9-year-old Sasha Ivanov and a few of his classmates were enjoying a nice day at the playground after school in the town of Pripyat. It was a gorgeous day and the kids had no intention of heading home anytime soon, so Sasha suggested they play a big game of hide and seek to start their weekend. The children played a little game to decide who would be it first, and lo and behold, Sasha lost the game and was declared the seeker. Once the role was decided, Sasha's friend
You suck, Sasha! Ew, down with Sasha. Little punk.
ran off as he counted to 20, and once he was done, he started to thoroughly search the playground, hoping he could easily find someone nearby. But to his surprise, Sasha's friends hid very well, and he figured he'd have to stretch out a bit further than the playground to have a chance of finding anyone. So, not too far from the playground was a clearing to the
They lured Sasha into the
woods, and Sasha felt it was a perfect spot for someone to hide. He giggled as he pranced his way over to the large trees because deep down he knew he was going to find somebody. However, what Sasha would end up finding would put not only him, but the entire town of Pripyat on high alert.
Yes, I remember that photo. The kid with the vulture waiting for him, seen him by. That was pretty rough to watch. I think the photographer, the guy actually took the picture. I think he eventually ended up committing suicide, and that picture won awards and stuff. But that was a child, somebody's baby. That baby didn't come into the world wanting to know hunger and stuff. Anyway, I'm gonna go on a
Sasha
tangent.
searched the clearing. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. This had nothing to do with the excitement of the game, for Sasha felt he was in danger all of a sudden. Sasha called out to his friends to come out and that the game was over. but no one
Yeah, so tsunami, yeah, exactly.
responded. Sasha called out once again, insisting that he wasn't joking, and yet no one revealed themselves until the bushes next to Sasha began to shake. Startled, Sasha turned his attention to something emerging from the shrubbery, and what he would see was certainly more frightening than his friends. The towering black bird revealed itself, slowly pacing towards
It doesn't. That looks more like raven size. That's raven size. Got some crazy eyes
the
though.
now frozen Sasha. It was larger than any animal he had ever seen, and its glowing red eyes led him to believe it may have not been an animal at all. Crying out in terror,
Animals can have red eyes. Glow if the light hits them just right.
Sasha turned and ran as fast as he could back to the safety of the playground, where he came across other pedestrians and the rest of his friends coming out from hiding. He tried to explain what he had seen, but none of his friends believed him and thought it was merely a cheap trick to get them all to come out from hiding. Later,
He couldn't find a single person hiding, but he found a monster. So, I mean, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, I don't know how they play in the Ukraine, but I think if you find the monster while you're playing hide and seek, you win automatically.
that evening, Sasha explained what had happened to his parents over dinner, but they too had trouble believing Sasha's incredible story. They asked Sasha to draw what the creature looked like, and to their surprise, the black bird with red eyes matched the same creature Sasha's mother had been seeing in her dreams. And with that, the idea that the black bird could be real began to flourish. By this point, dozens of people had reported seeing the infamous black bird, which led to a neighborhood meeting at the local school to discuss the mysterious sightings. A local bus driver came forward, claiming to have seen the raven, along with one of
Thank you for the rest of the story there, PC. Not PC, Tsumami. Oh.
the school teachers, among many others. Those who hadn't seen the bird claimed they had haunting dreams about it, believing it to be some sort of omen of things to come. And at the time, the citizens of Pripyat had no idea just how
All right, I think maybe now it's time, a good time as any to pull up Pripyat and look at it because, yeah, I'm down in Pripyat right now driving around. But check this out. This is Pripyat over here, this segment over here. I imagine this water is probably just cool and refreshing. But Chernobyl, the meltdown was over here. But we're pretty close to it. We're within the area. This is the Pripyat River, actually. And these are like little reservoirs. But surprisingly, you can actually go down into Pripyat and have a look around. And you'll see hikers and stuff out here. But all the buildings look like this. This is what it's like to visit Chernobyl now. All the ruins, modern ruins of the Soviet bloc. Everything's overgrown. Doesn't take long for nature to take things back. I know it's been a long time now, but you can really see the trees coming in the middle of the roads and stuff. It's great that nature's able to recover. Obviously, the idea began to flourish. That was an odd word choice, right? It's almost like they're trying to spin a narrative. Um, and I see PC plug in my stuff. Yes, you can buy me a coffee. Um, you can buy a T-shirt. Yes, buy a T-shirt from the uh, Cryptic Corner collection. We have Mothman, we have Dogman, we have Jersey Devil, and we have I think I have somewhere. I thought I did. Oh well, I'm not gonna dig for it right now. I thought I had a video about it, but not my shirts. By the way, if you haven't seen HBO's Chernobyl yet, you must. Okay, yeah. I know that there's like they say the world's rarest dog breed is here. And I've seen that. We did a video a while ago, it's been a while, about all the alleged mutants caught in Chernobyl. So yeah. Anyway, back to
Oh, right, they were. If the blackbird sightings were this prevalent in the nearby town, imagine how frequent they may be for those working at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant.
5 days.
Storm raged on as Dmitry
Oh,
Sokolov.
hold on. Should I read it? And should I say it in the little girl from the Rings voice? 5 days. Click. You gotta click the phone when you hang up because it's old timing. Click. No, not just hanging up with a cell phone.
Clocked in for his overnight shift at the Chernobyl nuclear facility. It was fixing to be a long night for Dmitry, for everyone was on edge with the recent
Fixing.
black.
Did you just say fixing, sir? Are you from the South? I think we found a Southerner. Fixing to do some stuff. Kyle Hill has a really good series on Chernobyl. I love to I just like looking at Kyle Hill, honestly.
Bird sightings. However, it was very much taboo to talk about it. Those who would even mention the idea of it would be reassigned to inferior positions, or even worse, fired altogether. Still, Dmitry believed the Blackbird ordeal to be total nonsense, and was likely due to mass hysteria around the recent incidents. So, Dmitry changed into his work garments and settled in for a night that would end up changing his life forever. Halfway through his shift around 3 a.m.,
Bro's gonna go and find a big giant black bird. You just wait and see. Rare dog breed, Ukrainian street dingo. Is that what it is?
Dmitry was snuggled away in a dimly lit corridor, working on a crossword puzzle to pass the time when something caught his attention. An ear-piercing scratching sound was coming from a nearby window. It was like nails on a chalkboard for Dmitry, so he got up and walked on over to see if he could stop whatever the cause of it was, assuming it was just a branch brushing up against the window during the storm. The noise grew louder and more irritable as Dmitry.
Here's what it says. The dogs living in Chernobyl's exclusion zone are a unique population descended from pets abandoned after the 1986 disaster. These dogs are considered possibly the world's rarest due to their isolated environment and the ongoing study of their genetic health. While they are not a specific breed, they show genetic differences from other free breeding dogs, potentially due to adaptations to the exclusion zone's environment. So that's what we're looking at.
Approached the window. His plan was simple. Open up the window and break the branch causing the disturbance.
They are sort of, I mean, that is the street dog or pariah dog, sometimes they're called, street dingo. The American dingo is a pariah dog, so you're not wrong by calling them a dingo, Ukrainian street dingo. Because they're just, yeah, they're a mix.
But Dmitry's intentions wouldn't go as planned. When he opened the window, Dmitry was shocked to see the large black bird standing on the roof next to the window. It made a loud
Good morning, Vandalia. Good morning, John Hudson.
screeching noise, causing Dmitry to fall backwards. He scrambled on the ground, petrified as he stood up to run and call for security. When Dmitry led security to the window to investigate, they found that nothing was there, and the screeching had stopped. The officers reprimanded Dmitry for wasting their time, and he was promptly sent home for the rest of the night.
Bro, uh, that's just the worst thing, to discourage people from reporting stuff to security and punishing them for reporting stuff to security is fucking ridiculous. What you're encouraging there is for people not to report stuff, which is great if you're a lazy security officer, but not a great idea if you're wanting to have a secure facility.
Unfortunately for Dmitry, this wouldn't be the end of the Blackbird for him, for he would endure harrowing nightmares daily of the monstrous creature leading up to the fateful incident. Alexei Popov, an established and well-respected
Alexei Popov. You know, these are just made up names. So did he just like come up with like the most Slavic names that you could think of? Yeah, the giant birds will eat all my friends, the arthropods.
Engineer at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant was at his workstation surrounded by multiple monitors when he found something peculiar. On one of his monitors, Alexei could see that one or more of the control rods in the lower part of the reactor wasn't responding correctly. Normally, this could be indicative of an unexpected neutron flux reading coming from the lower.
An unexpected neutron flux reading. Is that real? Is that real? Let me see. Let me Google that and see. Unexpected neutron flux in Chernobyl. Several instances of unexpected or unusual neutron fluxes have been reported at Chernobyl, both during the catastrophic accident in 1986 and the years following, most notably in 2021. During the 1986 accident, the RBMK reactor designed at Chernobyl had a dangerously large positive void coefficient. This meant that the water boiled into steam, creating voids, and its effectiveness as a neutron absorber decreased, and the nuclear reaction rate increased, leading to positive feedback loop. So, what this guy's reporting here is actually something that led up to and built up to the actual incident that Chernobyl's famous for.
Part of the reactor, which, surprisingly, wasn't that uncommon at the time. So, Alexei took it upon himself to go check.
Neutron Flux is a hell of a band name, though. Is that a band name? Is there already a band with that name? Hell yeah, there is. There's a band called Neutron Flux. They're on SoundCloud.
Check out the bottom of the reactor to see if he could learn anything new. Once down there, Alexei stepped into the lower part by entering through a crawl space. But little did he know that he was inching closer and closer to something otherworldly. Now, in a dark, cramped.
Neutron Flux is the name of the black bird in Entropy fan. That's the name of the bird. His name is Neutron Flux. I will not hear any more about it. Neutron Flux it is. Hello, Fox. Good day to you, friend.
Crawl space. Alexei turned on his flashlight as he worked his way toward a clearing to a more spacious area, but something felt off. It wasn't just that he was in an uncomfortable closed space, but rather a sense of dread he couldn't quite shake. Still, Alexei pursued onward through darkness and red flashing lights as he arrived at the opening, and once he worked through, he was met with the horror.
What up, Neutron Flux? What are you dropping here? Brian Stevens, NRC government reading. Let's see. What you drop for me? Oh, it's a definition. Okay, yeah. Thank you. It's fun to say.
Terrifying sight of the black bird, almost as if it had been waiting for him. The black bird cawed loudly as it spread its wings, lunging towards him until... Sometime later, Alexei awoke surrounded by his colleagues at the entrance to the crawl space.
And
he urgently warned everyone not to investigate the area.
So you notice the trend with this Chernobyl stuff is everybody's like, you're gonna get in trouble if you report stuff. So that's how accidents happen. What did we learn in 1986?
The blackbird would likely be down there waiting for them. Alexei's boss demanded he get a grip and stop raving about the blackbird hysteria. Despite this order, Alexei became enraged and demanded it was time they started to heed the blackbird's warning, whatever it may be. But, of course, Alexei's boss didn't appreciate this outburst very much and wasted no time relieving Alexei Popov of his duties.
Damn.
Alexei may not have known it at the time, but his boss just accidentally saved his life. For now, at least. Dr. Yuri Kozlov, a traveling scientist for the Soviet Union, had just hailed a cab outside his hotel and was headed towards the Chernobyl nuclear facility. His task was simple: perform various tests to find the reasoning behind the inconsistent data that was coming from the plant. However, to no one's surprise, Dr. Yuri's tests were merely a formality. Regardless of what Yuri would find, he was expected to concur with the lead scientist at the plant, and report that nothing was out of the ordinary. Still, Yuri entered the facility expecting to find little to worry about. Only, little did he know how horribly wrong.
So this is the problem with the Soviet system altogether. Like even if they didn't work, they had to be efficient, so they had to say it was working, even if something wasn't working right. That's why Lysenkoism, not Lysenkoism. What am I thinking of? The Gur Gur. What was his name? There we go. Yeah, Lysenkoism. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was right. I don't know what I was thinking of. But because it had to be successful and efficient, whatever his experiments were, they had to be successful. So science did not work correctly in the Soviet bloc, right? It just didn't because of the Stalin, exactly, because of Stalinism, because of the authoritarianism. Kind of like how yesterday the Smithsonian, the museum, nationally funded museum, removed all mention of Donald Trump's impeachment from the impeachment display in their museum. So now it just has the three other presidents that were impeached, like is it Roosevelt? Not Roosevelt. Clinton. Who else were? Anyway, doesn't matter. Trump had them remove him from that, rewriting history. So like he's never been impeached now, right? We are quickly slipping into something very similar.
Wrong he would be. Dr. Yuri was welcomed by members of the staff before making his way down to the reactor to begin his tests. There were multiple discrepancies that Dr. Yuri wanted to look into, including analyzing the unexpected fluctuations in the reactor's power output, along with measuring the radiation levels coming from the reactor.
Right, that's exactly right. Sounds like a lot like a person who would fire a statistician because he didn't like the end numbers he himself generated. Exactly. Apparently, nothing I've had supervised who discourage proper reporting. Very dangerous and negligent in my line of work. None of those supervisors are still around, though. I don't put up with that shit. Yeah, I'd say discouraging negative reporting is. Lysenkoism happened due to a different problem, though. It happened because Stalin, famously not a scientist, was wooed by Lysenko since he wrapped his quackery in the Soviet ethos and mythos, and the experts were ignored since they were subordinate to the political branch. Yeah, science just could not function in that sort of environment.
This sounds like a lot of scientific jargon, but it's important to note leading up to this point, many scientists, including Alexei Popov, were growing concerned about the troubling reactor. Despite this, upper management felt there was nothing to worry about and urged Yuri to be swift with his tests. So
upper management always knows what's best, don't they? Thank goodness for upper management.
With their day. Now leaving him to his work, management left the scene as Yuri got to work on his analyzation, and it didn't take long for the traveling scientist to find something alarming. Before he even made it to the door of the reactor, Yuri's Geiger counter started to spike, indicating that there were high levels of radiation seeping out of the reactor. But that's not the only thing he found.
And by the way, I was thinking, just to clarify, when my brain sometimes mixes up Lamarckianism and Lysenkoism, and they do congrue with each other a bit in their theories, but that's not what this video is about.
There was a massive buildup of xenon isotopes as well, alluding to an instability in the nuclear chain reaction. This was gravely concerning for
Neutron flux and the xenon isotopes. That's my band. Yep. Neutron flux and the xenon isotopes.
Dr. Yuri, not only because Reactor 4 was starting to show great fluctuations in strain, but also because the neglectful scientists running the facility refused to do anything about it. It was obvious that all these things combined would lead to a tipping point, and that tipping point was dangerously close. Yuri started to feel ill and uncomfortable, and was ready to make his way back to report his findings. But before he could leave,
Oh,
something
Yuri!
else caught his attention. In the corner of the corridor he was in, Yuri noticed his Geiger counter ticking off the scale when he passed by. And then, he saw it. Emerging from the shadows was the terrifying black bird, but it looked different than what others had seen.
Yeah, or any kind of authoritarian autocracy. Let's just say no to all authoritarian systems.
It looked more human-like this time. It didn't make any noises or even attempt to move at the frightened Yuri. All it did was lift a hand from underneath one of its large wings.
I had a terrible dream where Trump and I were the only survivors of a plane crash, and he did the "I'm a man, so I'm stronger" thing and elected to fight all the wildlife, and the fucker kept not dying. Oh, I don't think that's how you knew it was a dream.
And pointed it at the scientists. Yuri's counter was screaming at this point, so loud that Yuri couldn't even think. In a panic, Dr. Yuri fled the facility and immediately left Pripyat, a decision that would cost him his life. For what Dr. Yuri didn't know was that the Blackbird was pointing towards the room with management to tell them of what was coming. And yet, Yuri ran for his life, and with that, doomed Chernobyl and the people of Pripyat.
I don't think he could have
And
done
if
anything about it at that point. But there's more to this story. I have for us. Hold on. Let me pull it over. Because there's yeah, it gets as the disasters happen, there's more sightings.
Of a creature seen in Point. Stories tell of a creature seen in Point Pleasant, West Virginia in the mid-1960s. 7 foot tall, a wingspan of 10 feet,
Oh, my
and
sexy ass
glowing red eyes,
Mothman.
flying fast at 100 miles an hour. Of course, I am talking about the Mothman, one of the world's
Love.
most famous urban legends. The story surrounding this mythical entity seems to fall on what you believe the creature's ultimate goals were. According to some, the collapse of the Silver Bridge was foretold by the appearance of the Mothman, and it is either drawn to these disasters for its own pleasure or to warn mankind of the impending danger. This is not the only case of
Yes, I
such
love me
warning
some Mothman cake.
being attributed to the Mothman. In 1999, reported sightings of the Mothman occurred shortly before the Russian apartment bombings. The same in New York in 2001. And, of course,
Yeah, this is just laying the groundwork for these sightings as omens. And we'll discuss other Mothmen and Birdmen and all sorts of stuff on this channel. So if you're into that, make sure you're subscribed so you get a notification when we go live with this stuff, because we're always cracking this stuff open here in the Hive, aren't we, babe? Come on, support me, chat. Tell them Thank you for being weirder than even me, Bree. LOL. Yes, I am weird. I am so weird. Like, we had to just scratch the surface. Good morning, Robin.
The one that we're interested in. The sightings in Chernobyl that occurred in the weeks leading up to the April 26, 1986 disaster at Unit 4. This is the story of the Blackbird of Chernobyl and the real truth behind it.
Okay. Bring it on. I'm ready for it. The real truth.
The story of the Blackbird of Chernobyl reads like a horror movie, with details buried under more details, almost like an onion. So,
Mothman are like onions. They've got layers.
let's peel back the layers and see what tales lie underneath. Now, the first layer begins with what we can expect from a Mothman sighting. The sightings themselves, and how unusual they are. The most prominent of these stories seems to be that 5 employees of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant encountered the Blackbird of Chernobyl one night, an all-black entity with no head and red eyes on the torso. With these sightings on the
Sounds very different described here than how it's been described in the other story, but go on.
rise, the workers went to their supervisors.
Birds and moths are the same thing, right? They're flying things. Read your Bible. Read your Bible, an infantry fan. Flying things are birds.
Which would have been the likes of Dyatlov, Sitnikov, Lyutov, Rogozhin, and others. Now, this was never taken seriously by any of these men, given all the evidence we have today. However, someone definitely noticed, as these workers
I like how when you speak English, that Slavic names sound like you're trying to speak English with a mouthful of noodles. That's what it sounds like. Bats is birds too. That's right. We are DNA, just passing through to show support. Like button pressed. Hope everyone has a fabulous weekend. Thank you, We Are DNA. Appreciate you. Huh. Airplanes are birds. Thank you for, yeah. Helicopters are birds, particularly helicopters are whirly birds. Whirly birds.
then claimed that they began receiving phone calls at night, that when they picked up, nobody would be on the other end of. But the nights would not end with these phone calls. In their dreams, the same black-bodied entity and its piercing red eyes would appear endlessly, continuing relentlessly for weeks. And then came the threats. Actual, aggressive phone calls to those who witnessed the entity. KGB officers threatened those individuals who reported sightings.
What about the Marabou storks? Are they real? They're dinosaurs. They look like dinosaurs. Shoebills look like dinosaurs too. You ever see a shoebill? You listen to the sound they make when they clack their beaks. Shoebills are wild.
And tensions grew. And then came April 26, 1986. Firefighters and other first responders have been deployed to the site, battling the blaze from the ground and the roof. And what did they see? The Blackbird, flying through the smoke in the night sky, before
So now it's flying around outside. It was inside the reactor earlier in the video we watched.
disappearing into the black. Sightings continued after the explosion too. Claims have been made that the Blackbird entity returned even after the explosion, to chase helicopters that were flying sorties over Chernobyl. If the bird was a forewarning of disaster, then it would likely be a connection to the tragic helicopter crash of October 1986.
Yeah, it's blamed for the helicopter crash too.
And, as
Right.
a final twist in this tale, the people who claim to have seen this entity have all since died, due to unknown causes, be it radiation or something else.
Unknown causes. They were in Chernobyl. I mean, what more evidence do you need there, pal?
Summarise here with a bit from the man who brought this legend to prominence again. Following the success of the HBO miniseries, Robert Maxwell, an Australian archaeologist who visited the Chernobyl exclusion zone in 2010 and 2012, gave his opinions on the legend. Now, it's become
Oh,
one
hold
of
on.
those fables that's difficult to track because it relies on...
Yeah, here's the helicopter crash. Hold on. Let me bring this over real quick so you guys can see it. So this is the crash they're talking about. Look for the black bird. Where is it? Hit the cable. Down they go. Gravity. Because of gravity. I didn't see any black bird, but I did see a helicopter crash. Oh, we were done with you. There we go.
people who died due to radioactive contamination. The blackbird has also become one of those fairly safe legends where, if you try to look for proof, it might not be available because the workers are dead, or maybe the sightings were never officially recorded.
Or the Soviets hid it because they didn't want us to know about their blackbird experiments, where they were making communist super soldiers with black wings, flying soldiers. You better watch out.
People trying to check the veracity of these claims, of course, you've got to take them on face value because there's not a lot of history or archaeology to go on. But the stories persist, even to this day. Now for this part of the video, the debunking. I, of course, would first like to thank Darman Richer, author of the book Chernobyl, A Stalker's Guide.
Oh, are you leaving, John Hudson? Well, thank you so much for stopping by. For your inconvenience.
And the owner of the Ex-Utopia website. Without his research, I would not have a 100% definitive debunk, only 99%. But seriously, thank you for sharing your expertise here. Let's get over the biggest hurdle first. No one living who witnessed these events ever claimed to have seen it, and those who died but publicly gave their stories have not mentioned this story either. In fact, in many years of researching this topic, I've never found a historical reference to the Blackbird of Chernobyl. And now, to fully debunk this story, we would need to find its genesis, and, as it happens, Darman Richer has found it. The movie The Mothman Prophecies actually makes the claim that Mothman is a rough translation of the Ukrainian term for an entity seen 100 times in Chernobyl before the accident. And the events seen in this film and the legend match up well. Dreams haunted by the appearance of the Mothman.
I don't know why Mothman can't come to my dreams. Are my dreams just not good enough for you, Mothman? Um, there could be a disaster here. Hey, I'm going out to the West Coast here in a couple months, out to California. They have earthquakes there. Maybe Mothman can give me a little bit of a warning about an earthquake. Why couldn't Mothman give me some warning about the big dust storm that we had here? That would have been nice, or the floods that we had just a couple weeks ago. Damn it, Mothman. Do your job.
Cold phone calls, ignored warnings. The Mothman Prophecies makes the claim it is based on true events. But how much of it is true? Well, as a matter of fact, we can ask the man who did the research behind this movie, Loren Coleman. In an article he wrote for the 25th anniversary of the Chernobyl disaster, Coleman wrote the following. The movie also tries to link Chernobyl's nuclear meltdown with precursor sightings of the Mothman. Not true. There were no sightings. It was all made up for the movie. The Galveston hurricane claim is also fake, according to Coleman. So that's about it. The rumour was born here.
I mean, oh well, if Loren Coleman says it. I mean, he's a cryptozoologist. I'm not. He's actually one of the better ones, though. All things considered, when it comes to ranking cryptozoologists, Loren Coleman's probably one of the better ones. Towards the top of the list, actually. I'm the best. Just to be clear, I am the best cryptozoologist because I am scientifically minded and skeptical of any paranormal claims. I'm not skeptical of undiscovered animals existing, but you make a paranormal claim, you better be prepared to back it up. A lot of cryptozoologists just run with that. Good morning, Jester.
The first reference I have found of the Blackbird of Chernobyl is 2002, from a Russian source that also speaks about the 1999 Russian apartment bombings and the same year that the Mothman Prophecies was released. As a break, my opinion on the Mothman here is generally regarded by most scientists who believe the events in West Virginia happened. A sandhill crane or other large bird, which had become lost during migration and likely ended up taking shelter. It could have even accidentally rolled.
I actually think that the Mothman was an owl. I'm actually fairly confident that the Mothman was an owl. Like, I don't believe the sandhill crane theory. Everything about its behaviors and characteristics to me screams owl. You are the only cryptozoologist that I know of, Bree. Yeah, what if Ted Cruz is Mothman's son and he's ashamed? No, because isn't Ted Cruz the Zodiac Killer's son? I thought that's how maybe his mother was the Zodiac Killer, though. That there's no reason to say that the Zodiac Killer was not a woman who was in cahoots with Mothman.
Munition powder still left in the plant, hence the black appearance. Much in the same way UK wildlife hospitals have received believed to be exotic birds that have wound up in towns, only to be seagulls that fell into containers with curry sauce, that dyed their feathers. This has
Curry-covered seagulls are a new species.
Twice, by the way. The reason I raise this is that it is very easy to want a fantasy explanation for these occurrences, like the collapse of a bridge, a natural disaster, or, in our historical case, the explosion at a nuclear power plant. We want these stories to have some larger-than-life explanation. We all want life to be bigger than it is.
There is a larger-than-life explanation for the meltdown of Chernobyl, which we did get to explore, even though we explored it around the framework of the Black Bird. That reporting bad news was frowned upon by your superiors, so you were expected to keep a lid on things if things weren't going right. Which, when you're dealing with a nuclear reactor, probably not a bad idea, or not a good idea.
8 billion people reside on this planet, and we may never know if there is meaning of life, or what it is if there is one. And so we fill in the blanks in the world with larger-than-life stories and events, making a bridge collapse into a story involving a giant monster bird, or Chernobyl into a story of peer-pressured workers.
Is the
people running from bouncing
the volume out of balance?
Is what makes life interesting in the mundanity of everything else. It's the same reason we all tell fictional stories. Chernobyl is a highly complex subject, with thousands of stories, but represents a small part of a collective history of nuclear power. I hope you all continue to enjoy my content as I keep making it.
All right. So that was the Blackbird of Chernobyl. And we are looking at the part of the world where that happened at. So you see this is Ukraine, right? And it's right near the border of Belarus, right? You can actually drop down into here too. You can't get super close. Yeah, I think that last video I just had the volume turned way down on it. Um, but I can't hear how loud I am compared to that. And if I don't, and since I have that pulled up, I can't see this thing spiking. So I apologize for the audio being all over the place. It'll be a hell of a time adjusting that in post production too. It's always a pain in the butt. Let's see. So, ooh, that's a memorial. Gamma travel. Looks Eastern Orthodox. Oh, this is Gamma Travel too. Gamma Travel's the company that does the Google Earth, I guess, for Chernobyl. I think it's probably about as close as we're going to get to the actual meltdown site, though. I don't think we can get any closer than this. Maybe we can. Seems like this place actually is pretty popping for a abandoned Fallout zone. Lots of people walking around. What's that all about? What about the elephant foot? Yeah, we covered that a bit in our previous Chernobyl video. Let me see if I can find that. Yeah, Creatures of Chernobyl. There's a video called Creatures of Chernobyl that I did. Oh, I didn't want to do that. And I am going to drop it right here. We covered more Chernobyl stuff. I would totally go to Chernobyl, though. I would love to explore. Gamma Travels is probably a company that does guided tours. Yeah. So you all can send me on a Gamma Travel tour to Chernobyl, and I will definitely take lots of pictures. I'll go up and lick the elephant foot if you take me out, if you find me out there. I talk about the elephant foot in that video right there too. So keep that in mind. But yeah, this has been a fun one. A little bit uh, expected for it to turn out to be some fake lore. It's par for course in this part of mythos building. They wanted to make the Mothman sound more profound, so they raked in um, other disasters and said, "Oh yeah, Mothman appeared here too. 9/11, Chernobyl, Fukushima, every bridge collapse that's ever happened." I would also love to go to Chernobyl, says Kip Davis. I'll go with you. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right, but what do you all think? Was the black bird of Chernobyl fake lore? Was it a sighting of a raven? Was it a just normal wildlife sighting? You let me know in the comments down below. And please remember to be kind. Take care, and we'll see you next time.